Welcome to the Sports Hit List. I'm Tom Kenny, and to my left is Carl Coulanges. Carl.
Tom.
Thanks for coming. And to my right, Marcus Lamar. Marcus.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Today we'll be having a debate between the Sports Hit List and Mark My Words podcast. It's a first time ever, long-awaited debate, and we will be discussing, is James Harden overrated? James Harden, you know him, the two-time scoring champ, 8-time All-Star, and former MVP. We'll be opening up with opening statements between Marcus and Carl. Marcus, since you are the guest, you may begin and state your position about what you believe is James Harden overrated or not.
Thanks, TK. Before I get things started, I want to first thank Carl Coulanges for having me on the show. I also want to give a disclaimer. I don't want you to think that anything I'm about to say is pertaining to you. I know Carl is behind this question, and I'm going to get to him right now. This is like Stone Cold going against The Rock. This is the dream match we've all been waiting for. So, Carl, I want you to know, second place is your future. Now, let's talk about James Harden. James Harden being overrated is laughable, all right? Number one, James Harden is one of the elite scorers in NBA history. He's a top 5 player in today's game. He is able to carry a team. And what's really impressive about him is when he departed from Oklahoma City, we all recognize him as the sixth man of the year. We recognize him as a bench player. Anyone that says that they had this trajectory for James Harden's career is lying to you. No one had him being this dominant, this prolific a scorer that he is in today's game. So I'm going to tell Carl and the audience out there listening why James Harden is not just overrated, which Carl suggests, but why he's actually an NBA great in all-time history.
And to you, Carl, your opening statement of why you think James Harden might be an overrated performer.
Well, he compared me and said that it's the Stone Cold versus The Rock. But just remember, if you're The Rock, right? You could go as The Rock. I'm Stone Cold. Stone Cold always was better in the ratings. So just want to throw that out there, just to let people know. So when we talk about players who are overrated in terms of where we rate them, and he says James Harden is up there, right? Us as the media, we sit down and we discuss James Harden as being We discuss James Harden as being the all-time greatest, and we compare him with the likes of Will Chamberlain, Michael Jordan. We put him in those, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, right? We say all those things, but all those players have one thing that James Harden does not have, alone, and even got to that point. From 2012 to 2019, James Harden has not made it to the NBA Finals, and those are the expectations for players who are averaging 36-plus points. Now, Marcus can sit here and claim and say, well, he doesn't have the elite teammates that he needs to get to that point, right? James Harden has had Chris Paul, who's known as the point god, that people rave about as being one of the greatest players ever. He's had Dwight Howard, which in fact made it to a finals leading a team, by the way. And when he left the Lakers, he went to the Houston Rockets, right? He also had Patrick Beverley, who's now on the Clippers, who's known as a great role player for his defense, which the Clippers are a great team for having known, right? He's also had Carmelo Anthony, which they completely dogged him out in Houston. Trevor Ariza, another NBA champion, seasoned veteran player. He's also had Jason Terry, another seasoned veteran player who has an NBA championship. Montrezl Harrell, who's now on the Clippers, and the list goes on and on. So my point is this, is that people claim to say that James Harden doesn't have teammates around him to elevate him to the championship. You have seasoned veteran players who have been to the championship, who have been to the finals, and now these players are helping other teams win. Why can't James Harden's teams make it to the finals, the Houston Rockets? And then we're not talking OKC, we're talking him on the Houston Rockets.
Okay, so we heard that from Carl Marcus. He says that, James Harden has had the backup, but what do you think? What is your response? Is James Harden, is his game the same in the playoffs, or does his game maybe change in the playoffs?
Well, as the moderator of this show, I want you to be careful, because you see what you just did. He tried to take all the time away from me so I wouldn't have time to rebut. But I'm going to give you my rebuttal. James Harden's numbers do drop precipitously across the board from regular season to postseason. But again, any geek can go to a stat box and look at it and say, oh, James Harden averaged 26 in the regular season, he's only averaging 22 in the postseason. But numbers tell a story, but not the whole story. So allow me to give you some context. In the postseason, officiating is different. All right, we all know that those calls that James Harden gets historically or regularly in the regular season, they're not there in the postseason for whatever reason. He's still attacking the basket, still getting to the hole, even though his free throw attempts drops by about 1 in the playoffs versus the regular season. But how come he's not getting those same calls? We all know that defenses have an opportunity to really hone in on their opponent because you're not playing back-to-backs. You have the ability to just play one person and focus over them over the course of 2 weeks. Also, pace of play. The regular season is like a track meet. Teams are going up and down. They're putting up a gazillion points because the NBA and its players want to sell tickets during the regular season. The playoffs is considered the premier rounds, so defenses tighten up. James Harden still produces. He would have made it to the finals had Chris Paul's hamstrings not given out on him 2 years ago. And let me just say this. He listed a bevy of players. Patrick Beverley, Dwight Howard, who led the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals. It seemed like yesteryear, like eons ago. And then he had the nerve to say Montrezl Harrell. By the way, who is James Harden's coach? Where is his Hall of Fame coach? Where is Doc Rivers, who he also thinks is overrated? He thinks everybody's overrated except him. Where is Phil Jackson? All right, where is Steve Kerr, who a lot of people think is overrated, but that's ridiculous. He's dealing with Mike D'Antoni, who is virtually the Andy Reid of the NBA, sans the championship. So James Harden's numbers do drop in the postseason, but he's still a damn good player.
Carl, a response?
A few points that he made that I'd like to touch upon. In terms of where's his Hall of Fame coach, you also have, he was coached by Kevin McHale, who is a Hall of Fame player, three-time NBA champion for the Boston Celtics. And after he coached him, and when the Rockets acquired Chris Paul, Kevin McHale said, and I quote, "Harden is not a leader." Those were his quotes, those were his words. So he coached him for a few years, so he would know what's a leader and what's not. So there's that fact. And in terms of looking at all the other players that I listed in terms of eons ago, you clearly said that he did not have any players. Those were your words. He did not have any supporting cast to help him get there. So supporting cast, the others that Shaq talks about, are veteran leaders or seasoned vets to help you get to that level. He had those. He had another superstar player in Chris Paul. Now, you use the magic word of ifs. You know I don't like to use the word if in sports. We don't deal with ifs. Injuries are a part of the game. So it is what it is in terms of injuries. The Rockets were up 3-2 and Chris Paul goes down. Now, in that game, James Harden did have 34 points. But do you know how many he shot from three-point in that game? No, you don't, because you don't do your research. He shot 2 of 15, he shot 2 of 13, 15% from three. The Houston Rockets missed 27 straight three-pointers in that game. So you keep shooting, something's not working. They were supposed to win that game 7 in 2018, but they did not. The year before that, Kawhi Leonard goes down in game 7. He doesn't play game 6. Houston Rockets are at home. What did James Harden do in that game? Nothing. So this is where we're at in this point in terms of point. The point I'm trying to make you understand, and you're clearly not listening to it, is this. Great players, when it comes time for them, the game is on the line, and they want to get you to that hump, to that championship, they do it. Kobe Bryant is determined to make you win. Michael Jordan is determined to make you win. Okay, Magic Johnson, determined to make you win.
Okay.
Have we seen that from James Harden? No.
Okay, so that in that vein, Marcus, if late in the game you have your option to give the ball to any player you wish, would you give the ball to James Harden? Would you, think about that choice
Hold on,
in the playoffs?
Let me answer for you. No, he wouldn't.
Oh. Great question, TK. Let me correct him on several things. First of all, when the Spurs eliminated the Houston Rockets in 2016, they got
17,
eliminated
get your facts straight.
2016-2017 season.
Sorry.
They got eliminated in 6 games, not 7. Secondly, I do know how many three-pointers the Rockets missed. They missed 27 straight, and they were 1 of 30 at one point, and shot 7 of 44 from that field that game from 3. So don't say I don't do my homework. I do. Also, you said would I give the ball to James Harden? Let's look at a couple of players. Number 1, Kyrie Irving always hurt. Everyone likes to say, talking about this killer instinct, would I give the ball to Kyrie Irving? No, because I don't know if he's going to show up to work. Number 2, love me some LeBron James. LeBron James is a liability at the free throw line, so I can't trust whether or not he's going to be able to hit 2 if I really need him to. Kevin Durant, I'm sorry, is he playing? Has he played again this season? He happens to be injured, correct? Steph Curry, has he played again this season? He happens to be injured, correct? Don't get me started on Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook could hit the broadside of a barn if he was wide open. And last but not least, Kawhi Leonard. Love me some Kawhi Leonard. I actually don't love Kawhi Leonard. But if I really had to give the ball to Kawhi Leonard, I don't really know if he's going to be available either. So if I actually had to give the ball to someone, it would be James Harden. Why? James Harden can create his own shot. He can go one-on-one. Best ISO player in the NBA for a while since we've seen, right? And then on top of that, he can get to the free throw line. He can shoot from three-point range. And he is a bona fide scorer. He is the best scorer in the NBA and one of the best scorers in NBA history. Go check the numbers. Player efficiency rating for a player of his caliber to use him as much as D'Antoni does. Leading the NBA in usage rate the last 2 seasons. Top 5 in player efficiency rating. James Harden is elite. And he also said that James Harden is not a leader. I'm sorry, but when you lead a team to 50 wins and you're the best player on the team, what the hell do you call that? Can you ask Mr. Coulanges what did he call that?
Carl?
Coulanges, please.
Coulanges.
Thank you. Appreciate
Coulanges.
it. Now, go back to his point. Would I give James Harden the ball? No. You know who I'd give the ball, which you didn't list on your list? Damian Lillard. He sent them home. He sent the Rockets home.
What year?
No, it's my turn now. No, it's my turn now. It's my turn now. I'm answering this question. Because you listed a whole bunch of players and you said you would give James Harden the ball. Why not give it to Damian Lillard? What did Damian Lillard do last year? You can answer.
He got bounced by the Warriors.
But what did he do before that?
No, what did he do before that?
Okay, but what did he do before that in the Western Conference semifinals?
He sent home overrated Russell Westbrook?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
With a what?
With a
buzzer
Hail Mary
beater,
3.
right?
Yeah.
Did he do it to Houston in what year? He did it to Houston.
2014, I believe it was.
2014. He did it to Houston. So again, in the clutch situation, if I'm given the ball, has James Harden had a clutch winning game shot in the playoffs? Yes or no?
Yes, he has.
No, he hasn't. Okay,
he
so
has.
I'm telling you right now, I would give the ball to. I'd give the ball to LeBron. Have we seen LeBron hit the buzzer beater in the playoffs? He did it in 2016 against Toronto Raptors. He did it in 2009 against the Orlando Magic. I'm giving you facts right now.
67% free throw shooter?
LeBron James.
We're
not talking about free throw shooters. We're talking about game-winning shots and clutch shots to answer Tom Quinn's question. I'm giving you the facts. I'm giving you the facts, not opinion. I just gave you the facts. LeBron has a game-winning shot in the clutch in the playoffs. Has he not?
Yes.
So to answer your question, no.
Okay, well, we're running out of time, so just to wrap it up here, the last little bit, where do you see James Harden going from here? Marcus, we'll start with you again.
James Harden, if he never dribbled a basketball, is already a Hall of Famer. I know how much that grinds your gears, but I don't really care. Let me tell you the reasons why. When James Harden was playing in Oklahoma City, he was a bench player. He started 0 games, 5 games, and 2 games. When he departed, no one, to include James Harden's mom, had his career being this way. The trajectory that he's on right now is he's going to go down as one of the greatest scorers ever. And again, I listed the reasons why. When you consider his usage rate, when you consider the number of games played, the amount of minutes played, when you consider his player efficiency rating, for him to be such a volume scorer and for the Rockets to be in contention year in, year out, Carl wants to hold the fact that James Harden doesn't have a title against him. He got eliminated by the Warriors 4 of the last 5 seasons. The same Warriors who beat LeBron James in the finals 3 out of 4 times. Mopped the floor with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and LeBron. So obviously he was going up against a juggernaut. When he likes to talk about supporting cast, who was his second best player all these years? Chris Paul? Chris Paul is not a superstar. Chris Paul is an all-star. He's a really good player, but Chris Paul is not a superstar player. He's never been a top 5 player. That's who James Harden had. And now this year he has Russell Westbrook, but you got 2 monster teams out in Los Angeles. So of course they're not going to win a title this year. But he's still a hell of a player.
Still a hell of a player. Carl, to sum up?
First point is he contradicted himself because he said that the Rockets were 1 win away from making it to the finals without Chris Paul's hamstring, but now Chris Paul is not the player to elevate you. So pick one. Pick one. Which one is he? Which one is he not? So
he's not.
When he goes out with his hamstring, you need him, but now all of a sudden he's back, you don't. I don't understand
There's
that.
such thing as momentum.
But let me finish though. Let me finish. So my closing point is this: we can sit here and talk about the numbers. We can sit here and talk about all that. Players play for, I'd like to think, 3 reasons, right? You play to stat pad, you play to get paid, and you play to do what? Tom, what's the answer? To win championships. Thank you. That's the goal.
Don't let him lead you, Tom.
Listen,
Don't
to
let
win
him lead you.
championships. Let me finish.
Your Honor, he's leading.
Let me finish. You play to win. Those are the 3 reasons why you play for basketball. You play because you want to stat pad, you're passionate, you love to play the game. You play for championships, and you play to take care of your family. James Harden, I'm not sitting here and disrespecting in terms of his numbers are great, but something doesn't translate. The fact that you can put up all these numbers year in and year out, and when it comes to the playoffs, you can't get to the finals? How does that, to me, that doesn't make any sense. We're talking about great players here. All the greats make it to the finals. Reggie Miller, for crying out loud, made it to a finals. That's all I was saying here. He made it to a finals with, God knows, no talent. And we're talking about 2000, back in 2000. We're talking about that. All the great players make it to a finals and he can't? Something doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. And that's what I'm trying to have the fans understand and people understand when I say he's overrated. A player of James Harden's caliber needs to make it to the finals. I'm sorry. Case closed.
I mean, I don't think the case is closed yet. I think there's a lot still to discuss. But unfortunately, the time is up, and that's all we'll have for today.
Tell them to pick.
So you're going to have to pick in the comments,
in
the likes, and the suggestions. Don't forget to follow the Sports Hit List on YouTube, Instagram, all the social media. Mark My Words podcast. Is there anything you would like to plug, sir?
Yes, the Mark My Words podcast is available on all major streaming platforms as Spotify, Google Play, Apple, iHeart, and Spreaker. Be sure to check me out. I have the latest sports, hot takes, and everything you want.
He's a great listen. I'll give him that.
Appreciate it. You too.
For Tom Kenny, Carl Coulanges, and Marcus Lamar, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great afternoon.